So, that was unexpected. Even the most optimistic supporters of Rayllum, or the pairing of Rayla and Callum, believed that if the pairing was going to be confirmed, it would be confirmed later, like in Season 6 or Season 7. Instead, it has happened in Season 3. They kiss multiple times, they confess their feelings for each other. It's beautiful, really, truly heartfelt. I anticipated that the two of them were going to become much closer as they traveled through Xadia, but I didn't think they were going to become this much closer, and I am definitely not alone in that judgment. Some might say it's rushed, considering that we are only 27 half-hour episodes into this show, but I am glad they didn't drag this out, personally. Because the Avatar The Last Airbender comparisons are unavoidable, I will get them out of the way. The romantic relationship between Aang and Katara is dragged out for so long that it takes away from the rest of the show. And that is a shame because the rest of the show is brilliant. We know Aang loves her from the very beginning of the series, and while it would have been very interesting to see how Katara goes from viewing him more as a friend or as a younger brother to viewing him as a attractive romantic partner, we don't get that. It just kind of skips over that part. She just decides she loves him because the war is over and the show is ending. There is no sense of urgency. Here, however, we get that urgency. Their getting together never feels perfunctory. Rather, it feels like a natural outgrowth of the situations they find themselves in, as well as their growing intimacy toward each other. Rayla almost reveals her feelings for him at the end of Season 2. If she had waited even longer to reveal those feelings, it would have felt tedious and lackluster. Also, according to the words of series showrunner Aaron Ahas, they did not originally plan for Rayllum to happen. It's just something that they decided should happen organically while they were planning out the show, just like they decided Ezrin should not follow Callum and Rayla into Xadia at the end of Season 2. I'm not quite sure I believe that, especially considering the archetype of the enemy assassin falling in love with the person they are meant to kill is such a well-worn archetype, but if it is true, it explains quite a bit. If the original plan for the series did not involve the relationship, it makes more sense that they chose to have it happen here instead of dragging it out. I'm certainly not complaining. That said, Rayllum happening unexpectedly early leaves us with so many questions. What does this mean for Callum? What does this mean for Rayla? What does it mean for the future of the show, both practically and thematically? Let's dig in. This is the Dragon Prince Explained. How does one respond to Rayllum happening? First, since I'm sure this is on the mind of a lot of viewers, it is entirely possible that they did this for practical reasons. Netflix once renewed almost every show it had. That was back when it was trying to build a name for itself as a home for prestigious and acclaimed television, the same way AMC did in the 2000s and HBO did in the late 90s. However, once that name was established, Netflix no longer felt the need to keep taking risks. It has certainly not helped that Netflix faces more competition than ever before. Rival streaming services from Apple and Disney are challenging its hegemonic control over the streaming landscape. It's still rolling in money, so don't feel too bad for them, but it's certainly true that their control is not what it once was, and it has responded by canceling shows. A lot of shows. Netflix has become infamous for what has been termed the two-season test. They make decisions off of data, not human reasoning, and therein lies the problem. Their data tells them that a show has the greatest chance of finding an audience during its first 2 seasons, so if a given show is not super popular during those first 2, or possibly first 3 seasons, Netflix cancels it. This is terribly flawed reasoning for a number of reasons, and if Netflix actually does cancel The Dragon Prince, I will make a video explaining why it's such a terrible idea. But what matters is that this is their viewpoint. It does not see the need to renew older shows. Instead, it tends toward canceling them and replacing them with newer shows. Even BoJack Horseman, an adult-leaning animated show so acclaimed that mainstream TV critics overcame their anti-animation bias to heap praise upon it, was canceled by Netflix after 6 seasons. Admittedly, 6 seasons is quite a long run, so it's hard to be too upset, but it is the principle that is offensive. If a show as acclaimed and celebrated as BoJack Horseman can be cut short, what hope do the rest of the shows on Netflix have? Aside from Stranger Things, nothing is safe. It is entirely possible that Ahas and his team fear that Netflix is going to cancel The Dragon Prince after Season 3, so they decide to just throw everything into the season, including Rayllum. I dearly hope the show is not cancelled, but if it is cancelled, I'd rather it be now, rather than when we're in the middle of a major story arc and so much is left unresolved. But none of this really gets at the crucial issue, which is why Rayllum matters. Ahas and his team changed the plan for the show to get these two together. Why? It is not just fan demand. The pairing is sensible storytelling. These are two people who start the show not knowing who they are or what they want from life. Callum is a prince who lost his mother when he was relatively young, and who knows little about his biological father, while Ezrin loses his father, Callum's stepfather, the king, during The Dragon Prince. He has already gotten to know his father for a long time before that point. He's grown up with his father's guidance, and he's grown up with the knowledge that one day he will be king. Callum does not have that. Despite technically being royalty, his ties to the royal family are tenuous. As such, he does not know who he is supposed to be. While he fights ceaselessly to protect Ezrin, he is not entirely selfless. He has something of an inferiority complex, and considering his circumstances, why wouldn't he? It makes sense that this person would be tempted by dark magic. After all, it promises power and control. It promises that which he could not achieve by himself. His being tempted by it thus does not make him a bad person, just like Rayla being an assassin near the start of the series does not make her a bad person. Rayla at the start of the series is an outcast. She believes her parents are traitors, and she has sympathy for humans. Because of this, she believes she ought to be ashamed of herself, and she struggles to achieve redemption. Everything she does near the start of the series is motivated by her belief that she needs to redeem herself. Though she personally does not hate humans as much as she would claim, she strives to kill Ezrin because it is what is expected of her. She believes it would make her a good elf in the eyes of society. However, as she learns more about Callum's quest, her pro-human feelings overwhelm her, and she is able to transcend the mores of elven society. It is her choice. She has to make it herself, but she does not have to make it alone. Callum does not help her just from an abstract standpoint to overthrow the anti-human sentiment that has been instilled in her. Rather, he personally helps her. By his comfort and support, he convinces her to trust in herself. Gradually, he is able to convince her that what she thinks and feels is more important than the burdens placed upon her. She serves a similar role for him. With Rayla, he becomes less tentative and more sure of himself. He becomes more confident. He starts to understand what he is capable of. He's not just remarkable because he's a prince or because of who his mother was. He's remarkable because of he himself, and the future is his to make. They see the best in each other, and because of that, they help each other see the best in themselves. As they grow closer to each other, they also grow as people. That is why their getting together makes sense for the show thematically. But what happens now if the show does in fact get to run a full 7 seasons? The reason the will they or won't they idea, as tedious as it can be at times, has become a cliche is because there is innately some tension there. Certain scenes make fans think characters won't get together, and other scenes contradict that, raising the hopes of these fans that the characters will get together. But if you already make your two main leads a couple by the end of Season 3, then that easy tension is gone. You have to stop thinking in more general terms and start drilling in to the specifics concerning these characters and the relationships between them. This is a high-risk, high-reward approach. If you do it wrong, you can be left with very little tension and drama, or intrigue concerning the characters in question. However, if you do it right, the results are astounding. You can make something far more interesting than the traditional, will they get together question. We start to see that near the end of Season 3, but I'd like to see where they go with it. I'm really excited for the future of the couple. Contrary to the conventional wisdom of Hollywood, there is a lot of drama to be derived from characters in a relatively happy relationship. Things that are much more interesting than will they or won't they. Remember, these are teenagers. They're smart teenagers. They're teenagers that are trying their best to make the world a better and more peaceful place. But they're still teenagers. Did you have your romantic life together when you were a teenager? Probably not. I sure didn't. Having relationships is hard for anyone, even if you're an adult. If you're a teenager, it is practically impossible. Passions run high when you're that age, and nowhere do passions run higher than in love and romance. Even if both Callum and Rayla commit themselves absolutely to making this relationship work, they are going to do things wrong. Neither of them have, as far as we are now aware, been in a serious romantic relationship. They might have a hard time with it. That does not mean they will break up, though. I think they will stay together, at least based on everything we have observed from the first 3 seasons of The Dragon Prince, but there will be bumps in the road. There will be obstacles that they will need to overcome. Their relationship will not be completely smooth sailing. I hate to bring this back to Avatar again, but one problem I have with the Avatar comics, as politically nuanced as they are, is that they don't really know what to do with the relationship between Aang and Katara. There's no tension to it. There's no personal drama. Even if you buy the two of them as a couple, the idea that they would not have any difficulties, and I mean real difficulties, the kind that risk breaking them apart, is ludicrous. More importantly, it's not interesting artistically. I do not want to see them go down that route with Callum and Rayla. The spirited elf and the caring but awkward kid have gotten together. Now what? Where do we go from here? I love these two as a couple, but I want to see what challenges they will have to overcome. And of course, I haven't even really touched on external obstacles. That they're together romantically now means the idea of them being separated from each other for an extended period of time is even more ominous and dread-inducing than before. What if one of them is captured and the other desperately wants to rescue their love, but can't because they have other duties? And if they did find their way back to each other, it would result in their relationship being stronger than before. Despite the difficulties they have faced so far, they have triumphed and built a strong romantic connection. So what could be more devastating than them losing each other, either because of an external obstacle or because of a choice that one of them makes? If Callum somehow loses his magical abilities and starts using dark magic again, like he did in Season 2, that would be much more cutting and heartbreaking for Rayla than it was back in Season 2, because the two of them have grown so much closer since then. Being so close to a person means that they can make you ecstatically happy, and it means that they can be there for you when you're at your lowest. But it also means that they can hurt you, often without even trying. I love Callum and Rayla as a couple, and I want to see their love grow and blossom. But I also want to see what obstacles they face as their relationship does grow. The possibilities are infinite. So thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can, and you want to see more content like this. I love the show this season, but I can't wait to see Season 4. I'm really excited for it, especially concerning what they're going to do with the new couple of Callum and Rayla, and what they're going to do with Claudia and Soren. All this stuff is really fascinating. I dearly hope Netflix doesn't cancel the show because it is only getting better. Tune in soon for the next analysis. It will be in about a week or so. Keep watching this show. It is so good. Thank y'all again. Adios, comrades.